Chuchu, cê é louco, meu Deus.
Okay, so the college football playoff was at best debatable. I'll say that. That's what I'm going to start with. I can't tell you whether the committee got it right, but my opinion will tell you that they got it very, 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 very wrong. I think the committee was biased. I think the committee was terrible, ass, shitty, whatever you want to call it. I think that's what the committee was on Sunday. I think it was a horrible thing they did to Florida State. I think that they favored Bama. They did beat the number one team, my Georgia Bulldogs, of course. But for Florida State to go undefeated as a Power 5 team, do everything possibly in their power that they could do and not make the college football playoffs, I think that is asinine. I think it's terrible, and I think it's something that needs to be reviewed. But in this video, I'm going to go over all the big championship games that had implications on the playoffs, and I'm basically going to end the video off by telling you what I think and what I think should have happened or what I think could have happened. But of course, before I get into it, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on notification bell, help me out a little bit. Without further ado, let's get right into this video. Now, Oregon versus Washington was the first big game of the week for college football, and Washington weathered the storm really well. Oregon went into this game as a favorite. People thought, oh, Bo Nix is going to demolish Washington. Washington's not ready for them. Washington had a couple close games. There's no way that they beat Oregon. Well, I have a newsflash for you. They did beat Oregon. They weathered the storm well. Oregon could barely run the ball at times, and while Bo Nix still had a really, really good game, Michael Penix outdued him for the second time, leaving no question for Washington to be in the college football playoff. I mean, they're 13-0. They beat Oregon, a top 5 team in the nation, 2 times this season. There's really no reason to have this team out of the playoff. I have to agree with this choice. They have arguably the best resume out of any of the 4 teams. They did really, really well, and I'm really, really, really glad that Washington made the playoffs. And my boy Dan Lanning, who is a former Georgia coach, hopefully you'll get it next year, because I want all my Georgia boys to eat at the end of the day. Now, going to the next championship, the Dr. Pepper Big 12 championship, Texas and Oklahoma State. I'm not even going to say much here. Texas absolutely demolished, beat the brakes, the rails off of Oklahoma State. Quinn Ewers had a record-breaking performance. He had something like over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, did not turn the ball over. Oklahoma State did, crawl back into the game. They're going to score their little points. But Texas put up a 50 bomb on them. So Texas really made a statement. They did all they could do. Again, not a surprise that they're in the college football playoffs right now, especially with Alabama getting in, and that's where we get really debatable. Now, me as a Georgia fan, I'll be honest, watching this game was one of the most frustrating experiences ever. I watched the end of the game, and at the end of the game, I took my remote, threw it on the floor, and now I have problems turning up and down the volume on my television. But that's neither here nor there. Georgia played this game very conservatively. I think they were soft. I think they played scared. And I think Alabama played like they were the better team, which I found to be very, very, very frustrating. It's like, UJ, you've been number 1 all season. You are a team on a 29-game win streak. It's your league now. You need to start playing like it. Alabama came into that game. They were unafraid. They took chances. UGA did not. And while a lot of UGA fans are going to blame the referees, they're going to say the game was poorly called, at the end of the day, it's on your coach to be able to call a timeout. Hey, referee, make that damn review. That's not a catch. It's on your coach to be able to have the awareness in those situations to call timeouts, to say, hey, we need a review on that. Something. I know it's the last 2 minutes of the half, but you still have to have some sort, you can at least call a timeout and give the referees a chance to look at it twice. That's what I think you should do as a coach in that situation. But there wasn't enough awareness. UGA missed a field goal early in the game that would have tied this game going into the later stages and probably would have sent it into overtime. But Alabama, they played like they were the better team. They won the game fair and square. And as a UGA fan, I cannot complain about that. Now, them making the college football playoff is a whole nother asinine, in my opinion, thing that we're going to talk about just in a second. But first, I got to take you through Michigan and Florida State. Michigan and Iowa, I'm not even going to waste your time talking about that. Iowa's offense is ass. We all know this. Their defense allowed 26 points, which basically meant they got absolutely cooked, and Michigan beat them by 26 points, score of 26-0. And then Florida State and Louisville. Now, Florida State strikes me as interesting because they went 13-0, and as of this year, they are the first Power 5 team to finish undefeated and not make the college football playoff. Now, Louisville, they've been a decent team all season. They can score the ball, but Florida State's defense absolutely stifled them. I think their team is much more than a quarterback, and while the backup quarterback is concerning, of course, with Jordan Travis, major prayers for him. He went down with a rough injury, but I think Florida State was so much more than a quarterback. I think you have to really review what's going on with the College Football Playoff Committee. Because it's like, how in the hell does a team with 13 wins and 0 losses in a Power 5 conference not make the College Football Playoff? Usually that's an automatic. And not only did they not make it, they didn't make it over 2 teams with a loss. Texas ended up losing to Oklahoma. Alabama ended up losing to, of course, Texas. So how in the world does that work? I understand some people are going to say strength of schedule. And yeah, while that matters, look back into the history books. Like, look back a couple look back in the early stages of the college football playoff when it was introduced in like 2014. Strength of schedule has never, I won't say it's never mattered, but it's never stopped an undefeated team from getting in. I mean, a couple years ago, Cincinnati, for Christ's sakes, ended up getting into the college football playoffs. So why in the hell does it automatically matter so much now? I understand people are going to say, oh, but Florida State's quarterback was hurt. Dog, they're 13-0. Their backup quarterback, while he's not as good, he's been serviceable. He's won the last couple games. Why in the world are you penalizing this Florida State team right now? I don't know. But going further into that, of course, the games were really good, besides that Georgia and Alabama game, because as a Georgia fan, that literally hurt my soul, and I hated watching every second of it. I'll be honest. And I have an Alabama fan, and one of my friends named Nate right across from my dorm, and that dude was talking shit, and I was like, Nate, you got to get out of here, because I'm really mad that UGA lost, and their 29-game win streak is going to go down to the people that we literally beat to begin the thing. The people who literally beat us the last time we lost 700-something days ago as of Saturday. But yeah, that was tough. That was unbelievable. But going to the college football playoffs. Now, I'm going to tell you straight off the bat, 1 and 2 I agree with. Michigan and Washington, they both went undefeated. Washington, in my opinion, probably has the best resume out of all the teams. But Michigan did beat Penn State, who's ranked. They beat Ohio State, who was in the top 4 as of the time they beat them, of course. So Michigan and Washington, I can't debate that. Those two are obviously the best 2 teams. Now, Texas and Alabama. This is where shit gets debatable. This is where we really have to... This is where things could have gone either way, to be quite honest with you. Now, Texas making it... They beat Alabama earlier. Alabama just beat the number 1 team. There's some logic to that. There's logic to Texas making it. Granted, I think they should have been number 4. But for Florida State to go 13-0, do everything a team can do in their power. They win their conference. They win all the games. They beat Clemson. It's just terrible, in my opinion. Florida State they're not the world's greatest team. Don't get me wrong, but 13-0 as a Power 5 team, you're not making it. This would have been a tale of 2 firsts this year. It was either going to be the first time an SEC champion didn't make it to the college football playoff, or it's either going to be the first time an undefeated Power 5 team did not make it to the college football playoff. The committee basically said, we value 12-1 in the SEC way more than we value 13-0 in the ACC. You can go 13-0, win the freaking ACC conference, and a 12-1 team from the SEC can win in the SEC, begin the week ranked in number 8 in the nation, and still make the college football playoffs over you. That is absolutely crazy to me. That's insane to me. And then, of course, we have a couple bowl games. even feeling even more bad for Florida State. They've got to play probably a motivated and very mad UGA team in the Orange Bowl. And personally, it's a tale of two things, right? UGA is either going to come in completely demoralized or completely motivated. And I hate to say it, Florida State fans, but if UGA comes in completely motivated, you ought to not even step on the field, because UGA is going to absolutely crush you. Like, UGA might win that game by 35 points. Like, that's going to be a demolition that that nobody is ready for. And then you have more exciting games. You have Penn State playing, Mizzou playing, Oregon playing, Ohio State playing. I think a UGA and Ohio State matchup would actually have been really interesting. They face each other in the college football playoff. I think that would have been interesting. The transfer portal is also getting active. Very active. As a matter of fact, speaking of Ohio State, the latest transfer news is Kyle McCord is actually entering the transfer portal, which, to be honest, is something that I guess I expected. I mean, McCord, in my opinion, is an average quarterback at best at the college level. I'll be completely honest with you. And I think Kyle McCord is a really good quarterback, but he's not CJ Stroud, right? He's not Justin Fields. He's a good quarterback. I think he reminds me a little bit of Carson Beck. You know, he's super accurate, not going to turn the ball over too much. He's just going to do his job. So I think he'll find somewhere to be very, very successful, whether that be someplace like Texas. Maybe he goes to Alabama and Milroe decides to go to the NFL. Maybe he goes to Florida State. Florida State could be interesting, but who knows? That's going to be interesting. Texas A&M has an absolute ton of players looking like they're going to transfer. Their best defensive lineman, he's going to transfer. One of their best receivers, they say they might transfer. At least they posted some cryptic message online. So that's going to be really interesting. The transfer portal is going to be interesting. Head coach Deion Sanders came out and said the committee got the decision right. So basically, as a college football fan base, we're all split right down the middle. We don't know what the decision should have been. We only know what it is. The college football playoffs are going to be really, really exciting, and you guys can expect another video about this same topic as soon as we have a championship matchup. But of course, before I get out and exit this video, make sure to like, subscribe, turn notification bell, guys. Help me out a little bit. Without further ado, I'm going to end this. Stay loved, stay blessed. I wish you nothing but the best. I'm going to end this video. Thank you for watching.